In October 2023, Lucy and I decided to pack in our jobs and start travelling the world for 6 months.
Here we are, and it is currently 8:30, and we've already had our first blunder of the day. Do you want to explain what the first blunder was?
So we've both applied for visas for India, and my passport number has a 222 in the number, and it's written as a 444 on the visa.
So the visa you applied for isn't linked to you or your passport at all, is it?
Well, it is, because my photo's on it and my name's on it.
But you've got the wrong passport number on it. So the real question is,
Will they notice?
will they notice, and will we get into India
He
or
zoomed
not?
in on the numbers and looked at both and didn't notice.
There you go.
We decided to throw ourselves into the deep end by starting off in North India in New Delhi, essentially where we would actually experience most of the Indian culture and all of the good food that Delhi had to offer. When we landed, we actually got let in by the nice customs man who corrected Lucy's mistake on the passport and the visa, and we were in for a good time. We had booked a transfer from the airport to the hotel, and there was a lovely man waiting with a sign saying, "Lucy, come this way," when we landed. So we had walked outside the airport, and a guy came over and shook the driver's hand and said, "Okay, come with me." This is where we'd experienced India's first scam. We hopped in his car, and it turned out that actually this guy had nothing to do with our hotel and was trying to bring us on a fool's errand. So he actually rang our hotel and put us on the phone to them, and the hotel said the G20 summit was on, which it was, and that we would have to go to a tourist office and wait until all the roads were open again. Once we'd arrived at the tourist office, they put us onto the hotel again after they'd given us some nice masala chai and said, "Oh, the roads are shut all day and that we can't arrive at the hotel," and we needed to actually cancel the hotel. At this point, things started to seem fishy, so we hopped in tuk-tuk and tried to actually navigate our way to the hotel. Turns out this guy was also in on the scam and took us to another tourist office, where that tourist office said, "Okay, you're gonna have to pay a couple of thousand rupees to actually get a pass to go to your hotel." At this point, we said enough's enough and had to walk 2 kilometers with all of our backpacks to actually arrive at the hotel. Once we got there, our hotel was like, "Yep, we've been trying to ring you for the last 4 hours. That was a scam, and welcome to India." Once rested and actually calmed down, we dived into the sights that Delhi had to offer. First up, we started with the spice market, where literally your nostrils were just stuffed full of spices, and there's every spice on hand. You could literally smell it from miles away. Delhi has so much to offer that actually it can be a little bit overwhelming. You know, with all the traffic, there's people following you, there's people harassing you continuously. It can truly feel like an overwhelming experience. So we checked out some of the local sites. This is the Red Fort that you can see, and as an example of the local Mughal architecture. This is Chandi Chowk, which is actually one of the oldest markets in Delhi, where the emperor used to bring all of the locals or traders or merchants to the local area to essentially sell their wares. Of course, one of the best things about India is the curry. The food was absolutely sensational and so cheap that actually you just couldn't help but stuff your face on naan breads, rice and curries of all sorts. However, the traffic was absolutely insane. This is us outside the main railway station of Delhi, where literally we sat in a half an hour traffic jam, and that's purely because no one actually obeys the rules of the road in the slightest. There's times when you genuinely feel for your life when a tuk-tuk is overtaking 3 lanes of traffic onto the other side of the road in order to get you to your place a little bit quicker. The following days in Delhi consisted of a bunch of sightseeing, where we actually rented a driver to take us around to all the different temples and the different sites. Here you can see the Buddhist temples. This is Lodi Gardens, essentially has some beautiful architecture, as well as lots of nice greenery and shrubbery, which is a bit of an uncommon sight in Delhi. One of the craziest juxtapositions about India is the fact that the temples and the architecture is so ornate, and the level of detail is crazy when you compare it to just how manic the cities is, because the temples come across as serenity and peace, whereas the city is an absolute chaos. Here is the Sikh temple, where we essentially went in to understand more about Sikh culture in India, and it was actually really cool. The temple was amazing. All of the gold seen here was actually donated by one family in Delhi. As part of the Sikh culture, helping others is an important part of their religion. And here you can see a bunch of ladies making chapatis, and the amount of chapatis they made was insane. This temple feeds up to 100,000 people a day, so they were literally making vats of curry. You can see here this curry is being made for the lunchtime service, but actually the most and coolest part was the way that the chapatis were made right here, where literally churning out thousands of chapatis in hours. A rather compelling aspect of the temple was the fact that people are just giving up their time to help others. This is the chapati making machine that essentially tries to industrialize the process of making all the chapatis. So the guy's chucking some flour and dough in the one end, and there's more like flour being chucked in halfway through, and then essentially it's spitting out chapatis into some form of flame grilled type thing and conveyor belt, and out the back wonderful chapatis being made for the 100,000 people waiting for their food. The sightseeing continued as we went to Qutb Minar, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and actually dived into more of the temples and culture that Delhi has to offer. So by far the coolest thing about Qutb Minar was this iron pillar, which you can see standing here now. This is essentially one of the oldest iron pillars in the world. It's 1600 years old, and for some reason it doesn't rust. So it's an absolute mystery to anyone that studies material science. They can't figure out why blacksmiths could make an iron pillar capable of not rusting due to the phosphate associated with it. So way back then, the blacksmiths were far more intelligent than we are now, because they could make iron without it ever rusting.
So check out this building method. Column all the way up, cross beam, cross member to that one. Then if you look up here, you have cross member, and then another cross member, followed by a final cross member.
Of course, if you don't care about construction and cross members, the coolest thing at Qutb Minar was this tower, where each Mughal emperor or ruler added another level of when they took over the reign of the kingdom. Here we have sundown at the Lotus Temple, which was some pretty cool modern architecture. Wrapping up our time in Delhi, we ended our time at Humayun's tomb. And one of the biggest realizations we actually had was that all of the nice temples are essentially just an emperor building either something really nice and ornate for himself or his wife that is essentially an homage to their beauty and so on. So actually everything we saw was some form of temple or tomb that just had some nice decorations. Fueled by curry, we then decided to move on to the next site of the Golden Triangle and actually arrived in Agra. Following on in true Mughal fashion, the Taj Mahal of course is a tomb to the wife of the previous Mughal ruler, and we had a sunrise session at Taj Mahal which was just truly incredible. It's all made of marble and took several years, I think like 40 years to build, and actually some of the intricate detailing was just outstanding. Again, when you pair that with a lovely sunrise, it's just incredible. From there we went on the beaten track to Jaipur, then on to Pushkar, followed by Jodhpur, where we took in the sights of more palaces, forts and bazaars. In Ranakpur, we took on this famous safari where we were guaranteed a 99% chance of seeing leopards.
We're off on safari.
So we started off nice and early in the afternoon, just as the leopards were coming out to hunt apparently, and then as the sun came down, the guy got more and more scared of not actually being able to find anywhere where we could see a leopard. Actually, it turned into just we were going to drive the 4x4 all over loads of rocks, much to Lucy's disappointment. And can you believe it, we were the 1% that didn't see a leopard. As we started wrapping up our time in the north of India at a place called Udaipur, we took in the sights and went on an Indian cooking course where we were taught everything from making chapatis, masala chai, Indian curries, as well as pakora and a bunch of other dishes. We went to another couple of temples as per usual and actually made the stark realization that there's only so many temples you can take in 1 month, and I think we reached that limit. However beautiful and however much marble it's actually made with, they all start merging into one and actually just start looking the same. The south of India actually started off in Goa, where actually we just chilled out at loads of beaches, surfed a little bit, and actually just relaxed from YouTube life.
Here we are, boat touring in the backwaters of Aleppi.
Then in Kerala we joined a backwater tour in a place called Aleppi, which was pretty cool to see how the people actually live on the backwaters and actually go about their daily lives with loads of canals in the way. The canals even have water bus stops, so these ladies here had all finished work and were actually on their way to catch a water bus to their home or wherever they were off to next.
Wave!
And this guy is even having a bath in the canal.
Sunrise at Varkala train station. Bit sleepy.
Closing out our India trip, we finished off on some lovely beaches in the south in Kerala where we took in some more surfing and actually just started relaxing. In summary, India was overwhelming for both good and bad. So if you liked this video, then like and subscribe to see what we get up to when we land in Sri Lanka.